Hello and welcome to the Mum Boss... No, apparently not today. The Mum Boss Method podcast. I'm back today with a Mum Boss at Home community check-in. And this is where my lovely community clients have done their check-ins for me over the weekend. And I'm going to share with them and with you the wins and the challenges and my suggestions for helping them to get around those challenges. So this is a double whammy. If you would like to know more about the Mum Boss at Home community, I currently have the doors open for the February intake, so you can check out the link in the show notes and find out how to join there, or contact me on social media and I can help you. Okay, let's go through these wins then. So Jackie has definitely found that she is eating healthier. Claire still carried on showing up for herself. That's our motto, show up for yourself, even though her husband and her son have both been ill with chest infections this week. Well done, Claire. Sarah committed to and completed all of her workouts. Amy found that even though she felt down this week, she found a way of not eating all her emotions. Well done, Amy. So Steph had challenged herself to 10k steps every day, and there was a couple of days where she was sitting at between 4,000 and 5,000 steps at around 5 p.m. She's not a fan of going out for a walk in the dark, don't blame you, so she found a way around doing the remaining steps to hit her target, showing it is possible if she doesn't make excuses. Well done, Steph. Stacey got great sleep this week. Well done, Stacey. Another Claire, her calories and protein were good. Exercise was great. Julie had a bit of a stressful day on Tuesday, and normally she knew some stressful stuff was coming up at work, and she would normally spend most of the day before eating chocolate to calm her nerves, but this time she did deep breaths and conversations with herself, that she's done all the work required, and she's done that work every year, and so it will be fine, and it was. Well done, Julie. Lynn had a really active week, so 14,500 average steps a day, 3 gym classes, 1 PT session and 1 running club. Well done, super active week. Helen's had quite a stressful week, so she's recognised that she's been feeling quite anxious and a bit tearful. Sorry to hear that, Helen. So she's been making sure she's been prioritising herself. Unfortunately on Thursday her daughter was poorly, so they had to call an ambulance, and that was really a scary experience, but she's continued to try to fuel herself both emotionally and physically to stay strong through a difficult week. Natalie managed to get her steps in. Second Natalie did 2 home workouts using weights and 2 indoor cycles, as well as a dog walk every day, which is amazing because Natalie's been injured. Lisa was really poorly this week, but even though her energy was lower, she managed to get 10k steps in over the last 3 days. Well done. Jack feels that her exercise is back on track. She's feeling mentally strong going into a hectic and tough week ahead. And we were talking about this in the WhatsApp group, actually, that, you know, Jack has run marathons, but she's run them previously having not done any strength training, and this time she's now in the middle of her marathon training, and she feels that her legs are so much stronger. And we went out for a run together on Friday because she lives in my village, and she was commented on this in our WhatsApp group, that, you know, she didn't realise how important strength training was as a runner. It's so important, so important. So it's really been boosting her ability to run and stay on track with her marathon training. She also remembered to chop up her snacks and take them into the office with her, and she's exploring protein yogurts. Second Jack, isn't it funny how all these came through with all your names next to each other, has definitely been eating more fruit and veg, so well done, Jackie. Tracy has had much better bedtimes, well done. Emma's got back into the swing of the gym and had 2 really great sessions. Hannah has barely snacked, and she noticed what a difference it's made her having more protein with each meal, because she didn't feel the need to go for biscuits or sweet things in between, and that's huge for her. One evening after dinner she did feel like something sweet, so she had a high protein yogurt with some banana and a couple of chocolate chips on the top, and it was delicious, totally satisfying, and was exactly what she needed for a little bit of something sweet. And she hit her movement and workout targets, which is a huge win for her, because she'd really been telling herself some stories about how she couldn't do that. Jamie didn't eat a tub of Haagen-Dazs when she was ill, and it was in front of her face at the petrol station. Well done, Jamie. Sona hit her steps and calories. Well done. Denise didn't eat a sausage roll. She's had almost no alcohol, even though it's been a tough week, and she shared a chocolate bar with her husband. So still enjoying things, but not needing to go to them every day. Laura's had good meals, all with protein and plenty of fruit or veg. Well done, Laura. Taya's got moving, and she's been continuing with her consistency. Well done. Janet has recognised she's not a human being and has discovered podcasts and is absolutely loving them. And then Emma planned a run and actually went through with it, which is amazing. Well done. So loads of amazing wins there, ladies. Really super proud of you. So then we've got some challenges and some questions as well, so I'm going to go through those. These are, so from all the ladies, a few challenges, a few questions, and I've grouped some of them together because there's definitely some themes here. So one of the ladies has had really terrible mood swings, which she feels has set her up for failure this week. And so what she said is, what is the best way to counteract mood swings? So here's the thing with mood swings. They could be hormonal. They could be related to something else. I know this particular lady has quite a stressful job, and even commented on her check-in form that she felt like walking from her job this week. What we need to remember is that there will always be a certain amount of low mood, of stress, of things that happen that can upset us or stress us out in life, because that's just life. Okay, it's neither good nor bad. It just is. It's sometimes there's good things, sometimes there's bad things. So my suggestion with this is focus on what you can control and the actions that you can take rather than what you can't. So I talked a bit about this last week as well, but we if we've got a stressful job, okay, what can we control in that job? And you can go from the tiny small things to the massive things. I'm not saying the only answer is leave your job, but what are the different things that you can control in that situation? And that really helps to empower you when you are dealing with stressful, upsetting, anger-inducing situations. Remember, you can't control the actions of anyone else. You don't have that power. I'm sorry to break it to you. So you can't change the actions of anyone else. You can only control your own actions. Okay? So focus on that. And then the second thing is about responding versus reacting. And this is a game changer when you get this. You said that you almost called it a day with your job in your check-in. That's a reaction. That's a reaction, okay? A response is actually considering, so going back to my first point, what you can do and what is in your control. And it's also about the story that we tell ourselves about what's going on. So quite a few of you have shared that there are stresses and strains and upsetting situations going on in your life, and there's a lot of things that are going wrong. And firstly, I want to acknowledge that that's really hard, and I'm really sorry about that. But secondly, what are you telling yourself about that situation? Because if you're telling yourself there's nothing I can do here, there is always something you can do. Always something you can do about a situation. And that thing, one of the things you can do to change in a situation is change how you respond to it versus reacting to it, changing your mindset towards that situation. If you are constantly thinking, this is a bad situation and I hate being in it and I don't want to be here dealing with this, then that's the story you're going to live in. That's where you're always going to focus on. So an example for me is, when I worked in corporate life, and I worked in quite a male orientated business, very big business, I found myself at one point, our team manager changed and it was awful. I really felt like she didn't like me. It was I hated it. I dreaded going into it every day. I dreaded going into that job every day. I couldn't change the manager. There were no other jobs that I could look at in the organisation, and I wasn't in a position to change company at that time, right? It felt like there was so little I could do. What could I do? I could change my approach, my thoughts, my beliefs around that situation, because if every day I went into that job thinking I'm going to have a rubbish day, I'm going to hate this day, something's going to go wrong, someone's going to shout at me, I'm going to be really upset, that's all I would focus on. So instead of that, it's about changing your mindset. And you can apply this to everything. If you've got a stressful family situation going on, if you've got some conflict in your life, if things are difficult between you and your partner, or you and your best friend, or you and one of your parents or a sibling, you can't control what the other person does or doesn't do. All you can control is your own thoughts, feelings and beliefs about that situation, and the way that you approach it and the way that you look at it. And I promise you, if you start doing that, it will start to change the situation for you. And it's a bit like, so many of you have mentioned you're not getting your movement done, okay? And you feel like you have to get your movement done. I bet you get home at the end of the day and you sit down on the sofa and you think, I really should work out. Change that should to I get to work out, and it will start changing your thought processes and the story that you're telling yourself about exercise. Okay, so this is all about the story that we're telling ourselves, and we need to change that, because we can't control everything in life, unfortunately. As much as we might be control freaks, we can't. So change the story, change your mindset around it. Okay, so that was that question. Next question. I'm losing weight on the scales, but the inches aren't budging. Is that normal? Okay, so first thing to realise is that any form of measurement has a degree of inaccuracy, and that's just a fact that we have to accept. So you could be measuring from slightly different places each time, or you might be one of these people that has what we call a whoosh, right? A whoosh. And that means that one metric is moving and the other is just sticking, and then suddenly that just moves as well. And lots of people are like that. Actually, someone on this program, when I worked with them before on my last Diet Club program, you could almost measure it, that 3 weeks there would be no movement in anything, and then on the 4th week everything would drop down. So as long as something is trending downwards, as long as your clothes start feeling better, then I'm happy. Just trust the process, keep ticking the boxes, continue to weigh yourself, measure yourself, take pictures, and trust the process. Right, sip of tea. So, what I have got here is these are comments from one person. So I'm getting frustrated by very slow weight loss and wanting to give up. So the excuses or getting in their own way, they've been giving into cravings. And then their question is it true that the less weight you have to lose, the slower you lose it? And their commitment for this week is sticking to my calories and walking more. Why am I telling you all 4 of these things that this person has said? So a couple of you I'm having similar conversations with. This is for everyone listening that gets frustrated with slow weight loss and the scales. There's some tough love coming now, so buckle in. And if you haven't listened to my podcast from last week about scale weight fluctuations, please go and listen to it, because I go through all the reasons that the scales might be fluctuating up and down, or all the reasons the scales will be fluctuating up and down. So if you are only relying on scales as a measure of progress, this is going to trip you up, especially if you are only weighing once a week. Okay, my advice is with your weighing is to either weigh daily so that you can see the fluctuations and take your lowest weight of the week, or weigh monthly at the same point every month. I also want you to take tape measurements and pictures. And do not take any of these measurements, pictures or weights any other time of the day other than first thing in the morning after you've been to the loo. A couple of people have said that, I'll do my measurements later on today. No, I'll weigh later on today. No weighing, no measuring after a day of eating. I'm not tied to the scales, but I still wouldn't stand on the scales or measure myself after a day of eating. Okay, so that's the first thing about the scales. If you are consistently sticking to your calorie range target 80 to 90% of the time, if you're ticking your other habit boxes 80 to 90% of the time, and there is no downward trend on the scales or tape measurements or difference in your pictures, then we can look at why this isn't working. But here's what's more than likely happening based on the answers from some of your check-ins. And I know that that's definitely happening to this person because of their answers, okay? The scales aren't moving or going in the right direction according to your brain. So you are then thinking, what's the point? You even said it yourself, I'm getting frustrated by very slow weight loss and wanting to give up. So what goes on in our head is, I may as well eat this chocolate, skip this workout, eat these crisps and not track them because it doesn't work anyway. So you're creating a self-fulfilling prophecy because you then might be overeating calories and not tracking them, or not moving as much, not bothering going out for that extra walk or getting your steps in, because you've already told yourself that it doesn't work anyway. So you might start eating more and moving less and overeating on your calories. So instead of hyper-focusing on the scales, which, let's just remind ourselves, measure your whole body, not just fat, and it's body fat we want to lose. We don't want to lose muscle. We don't want to lose our organs. We don't want to lose water. We don't want to lose blood. We want to lose fat. Instead, I want you to expect them to fluctuate for all the reasons I outlined in last week's podcast. And instead of reacting, so we're going back to respond versus react, instead of reacting to the scales and giving up, I want you to ask yourself, am I hitting all of my targets consistently enough to get the result I want? And if the answer to that question is yes, carry on and trust the process. You also will want to change your expectation of what should be happening and stop comparing yourself to other people. The answer to the question of, is it true that the less weight you have to lose, the slower you lose it? Yes, it can mean that. If there's less of you to lose, if you are already close to a healthy weight range, it will come off slower. Trust the process, and the scales will take care of themselves. Focus on the process, not on the scales. And remember that remember this point about the scales don't just measure fat. Okay? I don't care if you've got those scales that tell you they do measure fat, they're not accurate. They measure fat, they measure muscle, they measure your skin, they measure everything on your body. So most of you in this group, and for those of you listening, if you've been working out more, you will be starting to build lean muscle. Now, muscle doesn't weigh more than fat. A pound of muscle weighs the same as a pound of fat, but muscle is a denser material, and so that could be why you are seeing fluctuations on the scales. However, I think your fluctuations on the scales are just that, fluctuations. Okay? So remember, the scales weigh everything, not just the fat, and it's the fat we want to get rid of. And you, by hyper-focusing on the scales, you are going to be tripping yourself up. So, tough love. There we go. Okay, so next question, how to be organised when feeling low with life. So what I would like to say is remember how much organising makes life easier. And I've got a real life example here. Yesterday, I got all my work done in the morning and I had a really chilled afternoon. But what I didn't do was prep my lunch for today. And that was a big mistake because Mondays are, one of my busiest days. And what happened at lunchtime is I could have just gone, I'll just have a piece of toast then. Because I hadn't organised myself. I didn't. I made a really nice salad. But if you're having a hard time, being organised will make more capacity in your brain. It will make life organised. It will make life easier because it's one less thing for you to think of. Yes, okay, when all you want to do is curl up on the sofa and watch Netflix, which is what I wanted to do last night, rather than prep your lunch, it feels like the hardest thing to do. But when you're then in the throes of Monday and you're trying to work and all this stuff is going on, lunch is done. So remember, it is short-term pain for long-term gain. What will tomorrow's me thank me for is the thing that I always try and think. Okay, so I feel in myself that I want to start doing more workouts on top of my steps, but also conscious that I don't want to take on too much. I'm currently doing 3 weight sessions. What would you recommend I add in? And should I count going for a light jog as a workout or just a process of getting my steps in and do something else on top? I love this for you. I love that you want to add a bit more in. That's amazing. A light jog is absolutely a workout. You will still be, expending energy. So I don't want you to add too much. As you're getting your 3 weights workouts in, Another one could be your for fun workout, which is exactly what my Friday runs are. I'm not training for anything. It's just something that I want to do. So you could do another weight workout, or you could go for another little jog. Whatever takes your fancy. Maybe don't give yourself too much pressure. Maybe if, the weather is horrific and you don't want to go running in it, which you don't have to because you're not marathon training, then you do another at-home workout. So I think 4 times a week is fine, as long as it's not pushing your hunger up and as long as you're recovering okay. Then I love that. But you also said you needed to make a conscious effort of getting to bed earlier midweek. So make sure you are doing that if you're adding another workout in. Okay, so we've had quite a lot of you saying that you've not got much movement in, you're making excuses, that you're too busy, that you're too tired, and that you don't have time. And I want to remind you that in order to feel more energized, you need to move your body. And steps are great. I love that some of you have really pushed those up and are really pushing your targets. But working out is key to long-term health outcomes, especially as women. Okay, so thinking about bone mineral density, thinking about your long-term mobility, your long-term independence, working out, doing a training session is the best act of self-care and self-love you can give yourself. So some of you have said that you're making the excuses, and that actually looking back at the week previously, getting the movement in would have been good for you. Whatever the excuses are you're making to yourself, if you've said you're going to do it and you're not doing it, why not? It's not just I didn't have time. Plan it in. They don't happen by accident. Why not? You don't want to. You can't be bothered. What is it? What's really under there? And I've asked a few of you to really do some of that digging, so make sure you do. Okay, so quite a few of you as well are saying that you're not getting enough sleep. Okay, so some more extreme than others. So remember that adults need between 7 and 9 hours of sleep every night. So that's what I want you to aim for. And this, yes, might require you to go to bed and a little bit earlier and miss out on some TV time with the other halves. And I know that one of the excuses that one of you shared was that you can't expect your husband to go to bed as early as you want to, and you're still trying to work on your bedtime routine. So I've got a bit of personal experience with this. So Tom and I are on completely different ends of the spectrum when it comes to bedtime and wake up time. I really like to be falling asleep into my book at 10 p.m, but I get up at 5:30, and he gets out of bed at 7:30, his alarm goes off at 6:30, and he will stay up watching TV till 11:30, sometimes later. And for years, he would stay downstairs while I went to bed, and what that created was something that probably wasn't very healthy for us anyway, in that we barely saw each other, we barely spoke. Now, on the odd occasion, I will want to go to bed much earlier than him, and I will leave him downstairs. Like Wednesday nights, for example, he stays up playing PlayStation with his friends. And so I finish my group coaching call and I go straight up to bed, and then he comes up to bed at 11:30. And that's fine. But what I want you to realise is that just because someone else wants to stay up, and you've said it yourself, just because someone wants to stay up, why does that mean you need to? If their later night has a negative impact on you and how you feel the next day, you're choosing to allow that to happen. That's your choice. okay? Just like it's your choice if you stay up to watch another episode of something, that's also your choice. So what Tom and I now actually do is we both go upstairs to bed at the same time together. I like to be going into my bedroom at 9 p.m. most nights, and I'll, just brush my teeth or whatever, and then I will read for a bit. And I read till 10, and then I'll, turn my light off and go to sleep. And like I say, he watches TV until like 11:30. What I know a lot of people don't have a TV in their room, and completely respect that. And actually, if it wasn't for my husband, then I probably wouldn't have a TV in my room either. But we do have a TV in our room. So I've actually taught myself through the use of very good earplugs and initially a face mask, an eye mask, although I don't need to use that anymore. I have taught myself to just be able to switch off from the TV. So that's why he used to stay downstairs, because I couldn't fall asleep with the noise of the TV. But now I wear earplugs, sometimes I put a face mask on, and I have taught myself to sleep through the TV. He doesn't have it on very, very loud. The thing I think about as well when I think about this is watching TV with my husband is not quality time, because we don't speak to each other when we're watching TV anyway. So we make other time for our quality time. We make sure that we are sitting at the table and eating dinner together as a family. We make sure that, we're doing stuff after dinner, like prepping for the next day and doing all the lunches and the breakfast and stuff, and we're talking whilst we're doing that. We might go for dog walks together when it's light enough, or at the weekend, to make the quality time, so that it doesn't matter if I choose to go to sleep an hour and a half earlier than him. And he also knows that having a wife that isn't tired or grumpy is a much better solution than me trying to stay awake until 11:30 to watch some zombie program that he's watching on Netflix. So what can you do? What can you change? Okay. I just wanted to pick up on this one. So this lady had a challenge where her husband decided he was going to cook a KFC style fakeaway, and she felt a little bit panicked at the what she ate in terms of the chicken and the chips that she ate. I really just want to say this: please do not panic over a fakeaway. Firstly, it's better than the actual KFC, but be realistic here. It's one meal and it's okay. Okay, what else have we got? So, afternoon cravings, a couple of times succumbed to biscuits and rubbish, and the excuse that she's making is saying she doesn't fancy protein for breakfast. But what she's noticed is how much more hungry she is if she just has toast or cereal rather than protein. So afternoon cravings will be happening if you're not eating protein at breakfast. And it's funny that this came up because we had a conversation about this in our community chat this morning about how much protein do people eat at breakfast. So getting your protein in for every meal, especially breakfast, and that's not because it's the most important meal of the day, but because it will stop you being hungry for the other, for the rest of the day. So 25 to 30 grams of protein ideally at each meal, okay? Because you will find that you will hit that 3-4 p.m. afternoon slump where you just want sugar if you are not getting enough protein. What alternatives can I do to squats and lunges as I have a bad knee? Wall sits ? So if you can you squat onto a chair, like a dining chair? That will stop you going down quite as far. So chair squats are a great a great alternative. If you have a little step at home, like a Reebok step, or could you invest in one? They're about £15 on Amazon. Then step ups are a great alternative. Don't step up on a chair immediately. And actually, step ups are how my osteopath fixed my bad knees. Things like glute bridges, Romanian deadlifts, so any of those would be good. And yes, you've put wall sits are great, but you know in some workouts you might have 3 leg exercises, so you probably don't want to be doing kind of 9 sets of wall sits. So adding those other things in as well would be great. Question: is there a better time of the day to work out? So the best time of the day to work out is the time of day you can fit it in and you can stick to it consistently. So it is all down to personal preference. Personally, I like to get mine done in the morning, and that box is ticked off. Even in my job, even because though it is a habit, if you told me I needed to work out in the evening for the rest of this year, I would find myself talking myself out of it. So mornings for me are the best. If you are liable to excuses, I would also recommend mornings for you. Okay, a couple of you asking for motivation. I need to get motivated. How can I motivate myself to get out when it's dark and miserable outside? Remember, motivation is a myth. You need to take the action which will lead to motivation. And taking the action will start with planning when you're going to take the action in, because things don't happen by accident. So if once you know what your work schedule is like and all the other things you need to do, right, when am I going to get my walks in? When am I going to get my workouts in? Make an appointment with yourself in your calendar. Make a plan, take the action, take radical responsibility, do it, and then motivation will follow. Don't wait for motivation to kick you out the bum. It will not happen. Loved this question. Can you class your exercise as you time, or should they be 2 separate things? I never gave myself to do it before, but I've managed 1 weight training and 1 swim and 2 longer dog walks this week. Because I'm making time to exercise, can this count as mummy me time on those days? So you can absolutely class your exercise as you time for sure. But what I would love you all to be doing is practicing putting in just 5 minutes of doing nothing or minimal stuff and just having some downtime. Because, you know, I'm at the stage now, for example, where I've been exercising for that long. I don't consider that me time. I consider that essential for my health, both physical and mental. It's not something that it obviously is self-care, but actually for me, my challenge is more sitting down, reading a book, just taking some chill time rather than the exercise, because that is a habit now. So yes, you can absolutely take that as you time, but I'd like you to practice just 5 minutes of downtime as well. Any advice on refocusing and recentering when you tell yourself your health and fitness journey doesn't matter anymore? Okay, question back for you. If you don't have your health, what do you have? Think about why it's important to you to be fit and healthy. What will that give you in your life? Versus not having it, what will that take away? It can be really, really hard to focus on you when there is rubbish going on. But as I said at the beginning of the episode, reframe this into, rather than I have to, I get to. I'm privileged enough. Health is a privilege. It is a privilege. There are some people that can't do the things that you can do. They physically cannot do the things that you can do. There are some people that don't make it to your age, that don't make it to my age. And I'm sorry to be down and morbid, but it's true. So if you don't have your health, what do you have? That's what I want you to think about. Okay. Okay, this was a good question. I know you don't need to make up on what you've missed out on. A little sip because I'm getting croaky. But do you think working out 5 days in a row and then 1 day off is all right? I want to do the workouts that I've missed. So I'd be really careful making this jump, because firstly, to this person, you've been ill. And secondly, you haven't worked out for 5 days in a row, as far as I know, for a while. And thirdly, we know that energy and sleep can be an issue for you. So I would say 3 times a week is enough. Those workouts aren't going anywhere. Whilst, as long as you're in the program, they are available to you. So there's no need to train 5 days in a row. Exercise is a challenge at the moment. I feel exhausted. Some stuff going on at home, and we have a tiny house and there's not much room. Okay, I hear you. I have a tiny living room. As long as you can lay down, you can do the workout, and that could be on your landing, could be in your hallway. So as long as you can lay down, you can do the workout. As long as that's, you've got enough space for a mat and for yourself to be laying down, then you're fine. Remember, as I said at the beginning, if you are exhausted, the antidote for that is to move your body. So let's try and get you moving. Start slowly. Remember, there are 15-minute workouts available to you. You don't have to start with 30 minutes. I thought this was a really amazing thing that I read. The biggest, 3 weeks in, and I'm trying to come to terms with reality and living this way for all of my life. The biggest gain is how you look at health holistically. When people ask about how this is working for me, I speak to the fact it's not just food and exercise, it's all the self-care things, sleep, water, downtime, etc. And I wanted to bring this up because this is a lifelong journey. All the habits that you're building, all the things that I talk about on all of my podcasts and in all of my content are things that you have to do to live a long and healthy life. The only thing you will need to change is if you've got a weight loss goal and you reach that goal, then you don't need to eat in a calorie deficit. But actually, that maintaining is one of the most challenging parts of any fat loss journey. And that's why it's so important not to cut things out and not to be super strict and ban things, because that's not enjoyable or sustainable for the rest of your life. But having habits of getting out for a walk every day, eating protein with every meal, eating your fruit and veggies, drinking some water, getting enough sleep, getting some downtime, doing some workouts, they're manageable as long as you manage them, as long as you plan them around your life. But they're what you need to live a long and healthy life. And so, which is why when, people join me on my programs, I say to them, I don't ever, say you must stay with me for 6 months, but you have to be open to the fact that these habits take time to build. They take time to build, and they take hard work, and it takes support. But you know what? When you've got these as a habit for life, then you're putting yourself in the best possible position for being healthy for as long as possible. So I love that. Okay. So this wasn't a question, more a statement, but I thought I'd address it. I just need to stick to plan and actually do what I want to do, build better habits and break the old ones. So this person quite often will have a plan, and then something will happen and they don't stick to the plan. So one of the things that I recommend that you do is you habit stack. Okay, so and make things as easy as possible for yourself. So for example, have the same breakfast every day, or or every working day have the same breakfast. Only have 1 or 2 lunches and pick from those each day, just to make it really, really easy. Okay, and then when it comes to the habit stacking part of this is where following through on the organisation can really help. So for example, apart from yesterday, whilst I'm cooking the dinner in the evening, I often will prepare lunch and breakfast for the next day at the same time, because I'm already in the kitchen making a mess, so I may as well. And then it's not a situation where I've eaten dinner and I think, oh, now I've got to go and make the lunch and breakfast. So I add it on to the next, to what I've already done. So I habit stack it. And if you're struggling to stick to your own plan that you're making, ask yourself why you struggle. Do you forget the plan? Do you just think, oh, well, it doesn't matter, I'll do it again tomorrow? Is that plan front and centre all the time? Are you not making it easy enough for yourself to follow through on that plan? Make it easy. How can you make it so that you don't forget to do it? It's like brushing our teeth. I don't really like the analogy of, it's just like brushing your teeth. You wouldn't not do it. But so for me, I brush my teeth morning and evening, and in the evening I have to apply my HRT. So my HRT gels are right next to the toothbrush, because I put on the HRT gels and then I'm brushing my teeth for 2 minutes. I walk around while I'm doing that, one, to get extra steps, but also to let the gel dry, because I don't want to get into bed with the gel wet, because it will just soak into the sheets. So I'm habit stacking that. In the morning, I make it easy for myself. I put my gym stuff in the bathroom, so that first thing in the morning I get out of bed, I go into the bathroom, I go for a tinkle, and I put my gym stuff straight on, brush my teeth and go downstairs. Then I'm ready for my workout and for my walk, instead of putting something else on and then going, oh, now I have to get changed for the gym. Make it easy. Okay, wow, got through that in under an hour. I'm so proud of myself. Okay, this has been awesome. Thank you very much. Do not forget, if you want to know how you can join the at-home community, either go to my website, themumbossmethod.com, or check out the link in the show notes, or reach out to me on social media and I'll let you know how you can join. Have an awesome week, and I will be releasing another podcast later in the week on something that I'm quite excited to talk about. So I'm not going to tell you, you'll have to listen. Have a great day. Bye.